What's up, everybody? We are about to get started.
Welcome to the Matcave, where the old games never fade. Stack of great cards, glowing CRT. Welcome to the Matcave, heartbeats in 8-bit waves. You can plug in, you can still play free. Keep the pixels bright, pass the pad tonight. Every level cleared keeps the legends alive. If the future's loud, let the past still play.
What's up, everybody, and welcome down to the Matcave. You found your way to Matcave Gaming, and it is Members Monday, where the live chat belongs to you guys, the channel members. Who said his name?
I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
You guys always hitting me with the Joe Hendry. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is Members Monday, and this is the time of the week where we got to change things up a little bit and cover some topics, things that I got on my mind, things that are impacting the world of gaming and really pop culture in general, and really just a chance to just kind of hang out with everybody, and everybody can share their thoughts about this here, and especially our channel members. Members Mondays, the live chat is dedicated to our channel members, the Cave Dwellers, and you can join the conversation here at any tier level, and they start at 99 cents, and you can jump in, and we got a bunch of topics we're going to cover tonight that are, well, they're pretty hot topics right now, because it's something that impacts all of us as gamers, and over the next 2 years, actually, I would say more like a year and a half, we're going to be noticing changes. We're going to have changes that some people don't care about, but we're also going to have changes that impact everybody dramatically, and it could change the entire landscape of not just gaming, but physical media in general. Now, we have talked about physical media many times here on the channel, but right now, things are in a very strange state right now. It's not really, nothing's moving yet. And that's what's kind of scary, because one of the main culprits of the whole thing, which we will definitely be getting into tonight, has pretty much, as of the time of this video, has been pretty much silent about responding. And you guys, if anybody's been following it at all, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But I want to kind of start in a certain area with all of this to give you kind of an idea of where my mind is going with this, and what my hopes are for it. Now, it may just be pipe dreams, my thoughts of what I'd like to see happen here and what I think truly could happen here, but I could be way off. I could be completely off. But you guys could definitely let me know if I sound crazy. You can let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever it is. We're going to have a whole conversation about it. Let me scroll up real quick before we jump into everything and say hello to whoever is here so far. I see Brian's here. Black Dragon, what's up? What's going on, guys? Good to see you guys. You guys hit me with the Joe Hendry already. The stream is public, but the chat is for our channel members. So anyone watching, if you'd like to join in the live chat for our Members Monday conversations, feel free to jump in anytime you like. Brian says, get your tinfoil hat. I don't know. Maybe I'm leaning that way at this point because the things I'm going to say tonight may just sound absolutely crazy. But I don't know. In my mind, I feel like it's a big possibility. So let's start with the crazy. How about that, guys? Let's jump right into it, head first into the crazy. And I put in the pinned comment in the chat tonight the topics we're going to be covering, and we're going to start with the first one. Guys, I think there is a golden opportunity just sitting on the table, waiting to be snatched up. And I think the two companies that should jump on this, and I say two for a reason, the golden opportunity sitting there, I think that Sega and Nintendo should jump all over this. We know that their main competitors, which are Microsoft and Sony, Microsoft of course handling Xbox, they are pushing heavy into an all digital future. That's the direction they want, not just gaming to go in, they want media to go in that direction. Now, Sony right now has been the one that's been on the hot plate. They are the one that's in the news all over the place. They are getting the most attention about this because of their announcement that come January of 2028, they are going to discontinue all physical games. But it's not just games, guys. It's physical media when it comes to games, movies, TV shows, right? But there is a weird side note to that we are going to cover as well when we get to that point. So I will circle back to it. But with the all digital future being the direction that the gaming industry seems to be pushing in, and that Sony is a big part of that, there is a golden opportunity on the table. And I believe that Nintendo and Sega, that's right, Sega, can jump all over this and go full tilt into embracing physical media. And to the point where I think this would be an amazing time for Sega, if they're not already, to develop a console and get back in the game. Sega, for now decades at this point, has been all software. They've been just distributing their software to pretty much everybody. That's why you see Sega titles on every platform. And back in the day when they were defeated in the console war, it was pretty much, I would say, Sony, funny enough, with the PlayStation, is probably the one that put the final nail in the coffin for Sega, and it killed the Dreamcast. And then that was it. Dreamcast was the final console from Sega. And then from that point forward, they were all software based. And we saw Sonic teaming up with Mario, something that still blows my mind to this day. And all of these Sega titles landing on things like the Xbox and the PlayStation and on Nintendo and on PC. And it's just all over the place. Sega, all over everywhere. And you know what? In all honesty, at that time, that was the right decision. I think that was the right decision in my opinion, because it kept Sega alive. It kept the brand alive. It kept them relevant. But now the landscape has changed. The world of the gaming industry is completely different than it was 20 years ago. That's why I said, and I keep saying it, there is a golden opportunity on the table. Nintendo's already in the game, obviously. They just came out with the Switch 2, and they still have cartridges. Now, they do have the digital key cards as well, which, say what you will about those, at least it's something that can still be distributed and sold. It could be resold. You can share it with friends. You can, you can trade, you can borrow things, you can, all that stuff. It's still on the side of physical media. But at the same time, they are still putting out games on cartridges where the whole game is there on the cartridge, the physical media game. This is an opportunity, though, for Sega to jump in there as well. Make a new console. And at that point, if they make a new console, I would pretty much bet it would be disc-based, right? But imagine this. Follow me down the rabbit hole here a little bit. This is what I'm going to share with you guys where my mind is going. You guys already mentioned grab the tinfoil hat. This may all sound incredibly crazy, but follow me here. If Sega was to make a console, not only make it disc-based for new titles, but also have the discs there for compilations to bring back old Sega titles, right? And maybe throw a cartridge slot in there. Why not? Why not have the disc drive and a cartridge slot where those of us that still have the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive cartridges, we can play the games that we already have. Heck, adapt that cartridge drive to handle the 32X as well. Let's do it. Let's go full tilt. Let's get crazy. Basically an all-in-one, backwards compatible, and then forward-pushing new game console brought to us by Sega. Then, alongside with that, Nintendo to continue to embrace physical media, whether it's on cartridges or if they eventually come out with a console that's disc-based. Either way, still embrace physical media. Meanwhile, Sony and Microsoft are going towards their all-digital future. Let them keep going in that direction. But you know what happens then? The gaming industry, which really relies on us, the gamers, the players, the fan base, to keep it alive, the bulk of the fan base is going to go with the physical media. And then what happens? Here's the crazy part. We get the return of the console war. I'm talking about the originals. Hell, you know what? Throw Atari in there too. They've already re-released the 2600, which also now plays 7800 cartridges. It's amazing. I wish I had it. It's a console that I would love to add to the collection, but I don't have it yet. But hey, they could jump in the game if they want to as well. But you know what? The two heavy hitters back in the day were Nintendo and Sega, especially during the 16-bit era. And if we were to bring back the original console war in its new form, Sony and Microsoft, Xbox, they're going to become the afterthoughts. They're the ones that will then have to try to catch up. Let's bring the two titans back, Nintendo and Sega. They were the kings of the gaming industry in the 80s, the 90s, and into the early 2000s. This was their battlefield. This is what they created. Everything we have now is because Sega and Nintendo paved the way for it. And if they were to come back and just completely grab the bull by the horns and take the gaming industry back, the players, the fans, we will follow them gladly. Just imagine, if you will. And this is, look, again, these are the crazy thoughts running through my head. Imagine Nintendo doing their thing. We've got the Switch, we've got the Nintendo Switch 2, and then whatever they're cooking up for the next generation after that, keep going with physical media, whether it's cartridges or discs, and then all of a sudden, you got Sega coming in with a brand new console. Hell, call it the Dreamcast 2. Could you imagine how many people would lose their minds across the world if Sega announced the Dreamcast 2 to then go head to head with the Switch 2? Could you? Imagine how many minds would be blown if that happened. And then take that opportunity, come out of nowhere, coming out of the shadows, Sega, and all you see through the fog, through the mist, you see some of that smoke just kind of circling. Why is the fog? Why is the mist circling? Firing out of the mist, firing out of the fog is Sonic the Hedgehog, leading the way for Sega's return into the console war. Console War 2, whatever we want to call it. And they make a huge comeback. Make it disc-based so they can fit all the data on for their new titles, whether it's remakes of original IPs or brand new IPs coming out of there. Make them first party. And then also have your compilations and bringing back the classics and providing a way to play them, whether it's in a compilation mega disc or something like that, or have, like I said before, a cartridge slot so that those of us that do have the original hardware can move over and take our original cartridge and pop it right into that brand new console and play it. This would flip the entire gaming industry on its head. Like, it just, everyone would be blown away, and it would be the comeback of the century. It would just be unbelievable. And I've been thinking about this ever since the big announcement from Sony. I've been just running this through my head of how this could go down. And I keep coming back to the fact that there is this golden opportunity just sitting there. And it's just a question of which company is going to be brave enough to grab it first. Nintendo already has the head start. At this point, in my opinion, Xbox and Sony, they've already committed to going all digital. And I don't think there's anything that's going to stop them. Realistically, I don't think anything's going to stop them. For them to change their mind would be that would be groundbreaking. That would be probably one of the first times ever a major company like that does a complete 180. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what other companies have done that and have just completely been like, we were wrong, and just about face and go back and fall back on, the old style. There's not many, if any, out there. But the potential here, and this is, again, you guys could tell me, and I'm going to catch up with you guys in chat here in just a moment. You guys could tell me I am full of baloney. You could tell me I'm out of my mind. It's all pipe dreams. It would never happen. But if you really stop and think about it, the possibility, the potential for that to happen is very real. And for all we know, Sega might already be cooking. I've seen like posts here and there over the last couple of years, in all honesty, but more so lately. Little rumors, little things, concept art of what a new Sega console could look like. Little rumors of like, and they end up being like, kind of fake articles and stuff like that, right? But that just tells me the idea is there, and it's a thought on our minds. And for those of us like in my age group, I'm about to be 44. I'm an 80s baby. I grew up with this stuff. And there's many of my generation still left here in the world and beyond. It's like there's such a player base still existing that if these companies took the opportunity, the money would be there. Because look, realistically as well, at the end of the day, this all comes down to money, right? These are companies, these are businesses, right? They're in it to make money. They need to make a profit. The other side of it is that the people that are making these games, making the hardware and stuff, there's that passion. The people, the true developers and everything, these people are there because they love it. It's their passion. It's what they strive to do. And it makes them so happy to be able to produce a game, to produce a console and get it out there to players to show them what they've created. And that's something that's always going to be in place, no matter how much greed goes into these companies. But once a company gets the trust, well, I should say once they earn the trust of the players, the fans, the consumers, that's what we are. We're all consumers, right? In one way or another, we consume. This is just what happens in the world. It's human nature. Once they earn our trust, then it's on them to keep it as well, right? They got to do right by the players. But we also have to understand as consumers that they are a business. So there's going to be give and take. There has to be a bit of a balance. But if they accomplish this, imagine the possibilities. And like I said before, oh, look, it would be game over for Sony and Xbox if Nintendo and Sega, the two biggest juggernauts of the gaming industry history, if they were to reclaim their place at the top of the mountain, they would be unstoppable. They would be unstoppable. And here's why. They have the most history with this industry. They have the most knowledge. And they have the most fans. All they have to do is choose to do it. And it's a win. In my opinion, it's an instant win. Now, obviously, they have to handle it well. This could be fumbled. Let's say they do take the path and they take that golden opportunity off the table and we bring back the original console war, Nintendo versus Sega. And I want to talk about competition when it comes to things like that, because that is a very important part of all of this. But let's say they do it. Let's say they grab that opportunity. It could still be fumbled. It could very well be fumbled. And the biggest thing that would cause that fumble would be greed. They have to find the balance. They have to earn our trust, and then they have to keep it. And that goes for really any big corporation out there, any company that has a customer base. They have to earn the trust, and they have to keep it. And many companies, especially these days, fail to do that. And it's all because of greed and also short-sighted goals. They look at the short term, most of these corporations now. They don't look at the long term anymore. And a lot of these companies are starting to rely on AI to just handle things for them. And I have a little bit of personal experience with some of that. And let me tell you, it does not go well. So these companies leaning into artificial intelligence to then push out the human factor of these things, that causes a downfall as well. And the gaming industry is not immune to that. So we are at a point in the gaming industry where things have the potential to change dramatically. The question is, will these changes be good or horrible? And only time will tell with that. Let me catch up with you guys here in chat. I've been seeing the chat scrolling and everything. I want to keep up with you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the thoughts out and everything as we're going, because we have so much to talk about tonight. Wow, I gotta keep scrolling. Keep it scrolling. Here we go. Let's see. Brian says the PSN outage and then the Xbox outage, the hell with all digital future. The timing of all of that, unbelievable. It almost feels like it was done on purpose for some odd reason. For that to be a coincidence, that's insane. Now, me personally, the day of the PSN outage, I didn't see any impact on my side. I happened to be using my PS5 that day, and I didn't know about the outage until after the fact. And I don't recall having any impact. So I guess it wasn't the entire thing. Maybe it was regions or something, but still. The timing of that, and then what was it, a day later, 2 days later, the Xbox outage? What are the chances of that with all of this going on? That's insane. But right there, that shows you what an all digital future looks like. If that service goes down, your console is a brick. It's nothing. Because now it's looking for a whole bunch of stuff, even just to play what's already on there. All your digital content that you downloaded. It's there, right? You have it on your hard drive. The hard drive might be yours, but that game is not. I don't care how much you spent on it. If it's digital, you bought nothing. You bought air. You bought pixels. There's nothing there. Yeah, it's crazy. The timing of that was absolutely insane. People who already support digital won't care. People who collect or want physical media are going to rebel. Which is exactly right. There is a large portion of just the world of people who watch movies, TV shows, and play games or listen to music, right? Anything on that type of media. There are tons and tons and tons of people that just go for the digital because that's perfectly fine for them, which is perfectly fine in all honesty. That convenience, and it's just like they're not really in it for collecting. It's just, I want to have that song, I want to watch that movie, I want to play that game. And it's not about putting it up on a shelf and maintaining it. They just want the quick, easy access, the convenience. That's a big thing too. The convenience is what lures people to digital. That's the biggest selling point of digital. It's convenience. And people will lean to that very quickly. But here's the thing. As we get into an all digital future, those digital products, as they get taken away, because that's exactly what will happen and has already happened many, many times over the years. Some bigger events than others, like most recently, Sony literally removing, I believe it was 551 titles from digital movie purchased lists. People's purchased movies vanished. No refunds, no I'm sorry, no nothing. Just, I know you bought that movie, maybe it cost $30 or whatever it was. Yeah, but you don't have that no more. We took it. We took it back. And that's theft. That's theft. I don't care what anyone says. That is theft. If you take something I bought from me, you stole it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So people will learn. The people that lean into digital the most will eventually be impacted more when the reality sets in and the thing they bought gets taken away from them. So time will tell with that. Now this was a side note. I see this in the chat. This was a side note I wanted to talk about with Sony. And we're going to talk about Sony more, but I will bring it up here since it's early on in chat. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. After this announcement from Sony, they've just been marketing a bunch of stuff. They haven't responded to any of the backlash yet, and we're gonna dive into that further in just a little bit. But they just recently announced a new vinyl turntable they're putting out and promoting that. Make it make sense. Yes, vinyl made a huge comeback and has been back around for a long time now. I just was going through a bunch of vinyl records in a store yesterday. And it's great. It's great. I love vinyl. It's fantastic. And I'm so glad that it made a comeback. But Sony putting out a turntable, which obviously takes physical media, vinyl records. Make it make sense. Sony doesn't know what they're doing right now. They it is. I think about, what was it on? It's been on many things, but it was probably like clips on The Simpsons and Family Guy and all kinds of stuff where they just, it's like, oh, it's like a bunch of monkeys in a room on the typewriter and typing up stuff, and eventually you're going to have an idea that pops out. I think that might be what's actually happening over at Sony right now. It's absurd. The choices they're making, it blows my mind. It's very crazy. Gotta admit, the Dreamcast had a wonderful singing voice. I love the Sega Dreamcast. That opening screen with the swirl that would come up. That's my second favorite intro, like game console intro. My favorite, unfortunately, I guess these days, is the PlayStation. Sony PlayStation 1, the original PlayStation. That opening, oh my God, I love it. Absolutely love it. That is my favorite, but the Sega Dreamcast was my second favorite with that. Imagine if Sega just re-releases the Genesis and Mega Drive like We Back. They could. That's another thing. Re-release the original console. Atari just did it. And from what I understand, it's selling well. Atari just, well, not just, it's been out now for a little bit. They re-released the Atari 2600, except they updated it. This Atari 2600 now plays the 2600 cartridges, both new and the originals, and it also plays the Atari 7800 cartridges. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I applaud you, Atari. That was a great move. And then they're putting out brand new cartridges of classic games. But the thing is, it also plays your original cartridges, and I've got piles of them. That's freaking amazing. An amazing move, and there's no reason why Sega or Nintendo or even Sony and Microsoft, why they couldn't do the same thing. Re-releasing original hardware is a good idea in my opinion. There's always a market for it. That's why Sony and Microsoft want to go all digital. They get no revenue from secondhand sales. That's the like the whole trading games, the aftermarket. Yeah, they get nothing from that. It's same thing back in the day with the rental stores. These companies hated the rental stores. They hated that entire system. In fact, they forced developers to make video games harder than they needed to be for the sake of getting people to buy the game so that they would want to complete it, because they couldn't complete it in that one weekend during the one rental. And we have a very famous apology story that came out about the Lion King on Sega Genesis, the Game Gear, and the Super Nintendo. The developers, this was a few years ago at this point, they came out in an interview, an article, basically saying, yeah, we made the game harder because of the whole situation with the game companies. So it's insane what these companies have done over the years with the industry and what they now continue to do in certain certain ways. But it all comes back, like it feels like history repeating itself. This all digital future feels like it's still of a way of these companies trying to fight the rental stores, trying to fight Blockbuster and all the mom and pop shops that were renting out video games and movies and everything. It's so wild to see how this has evolved yet stayed the same. It's such a strange thing. Absolutely insane. The Commodore 64. That's a system I never owned. I had multiple friends that had a Commodore 64, so I got to play some stuff over the years, but I never owned one myself. I would love to have a Commodore 64. It just fascinated me. What's up? I don't know what the fuck. Good to see you here, man. I think a console collab would be cool. I like how Nintendo Switch has PC games now and so many exclusives. It's a great advantage, and a collab would open up so many exclusives if done right. Yeah, it's when these companies collaborate with each other, depending on whether it's like a console going on to PC as well. Sony did that for a while, but they've kind of like backtracked on that. It is cool to bring things over to another medium and build a player base over there as well, because if you think about that, like even just for example, when Sony was putting some of their games on PC, you're building potential customers for the PlayStation systems at that point. And look, I have plenty of PC games, but I'll always prefer consoles. That's just how I've always been, and I think that's how I'll always be. I love PC games. I think PC games are great. There are some difficulties that come with PC gaming that don't exist in consoles, but now these days consoles are becoming more and more like PC games anyway, so it's starting to kind of just merge at this point. But when you have companies that are willing to work together on some things, it can have benefits for both sides and for the consumer base as well. But on the other side of that coin is the competition. The competition between these companies is something that is very much needed. It's desperately needed now because we haven't had the true competition in a very long time. And I want to jump into that, but let me catch up with you guys here real quick too. Before we should make a commercial of that idea with the smoke and Sonic. I've been cooking this stuff up in my head. It's stuff I've been thinking about. And Alex Kidd, yes. Oh my God, the original mascot actually for Sega was Alex Kidd. Um, it, there's so many things that they could do with it. It would be so much fun. All right, you're full of baloney and you're out of your mind. Feel better now. It may be. I may be completely full of baloney here, and I may sound absolutely crazy, but these are the thoughts I'm having, and I'm going to share it with you guys. We need to stop being consumers and go back to being customers. I like that a lot. It's these companies, it's the greed again. It always comes back to the greed. Um, we're not treated as customers, you know. A customer is treated with respect, and you want loyalty. You want loyalty from customers, right? You want to build up that customer base. But now with everything, and it's not just games, everything with all these companies, we are just consumers. We're numbers to them. We're just numbers. And that's probably the saddest part of the whole thing, because there used to be a relationship between businesses and the customers. You build that relationship, you build up brand loyalty and things like that. And that's a healthy way of doing business. But with things that how they've advanced with AI and all these shortcuts and things for companies to do, building that relationship became not even an afterthought. It just became no thought. No thought was put into that anymore, and that's pretty sad. It's a rough time with relationship side between businesses and customers. Ask WWE 2K26 about loyalty and trust. Oh my God, they man, I'm still mad at that game. I fired it up just the other day to make sure that the new season of the Battle Pass went in. They just added the Hardys in there, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, and then Lita's on there as well, and I wanted to have them unlocked. But I'm still mad at them for all of that. That was such a mess. Yeah, they killed the loyalty with that brand dramatically. Get rid of the shareholders and a lot of problems will go away. Yeah, it would. It would go away. Bring back cartridges. What's up, Trippinor? Good to see you. I love cartridges. Game cartridges, I prefer them over CDs, over discs. By leaps and bounds. I miss cartridges. And if Sega was to go with the idea I was talking about, make a new console, have it disc-based so that you can make new games and bigger games, but have a cartridge slot and bring back your classics. Be backwards compatible. Fans want that. Fans want that. Speaking of AI, Halo Campaign Evolved is looking pretty AI. I've been hearing bad things about this Halo remake, which actually kind of excites me about my want to play the original Halo, which will be coming up here on the channel. I'm going to play the original Halo and get through that story for the first time, and I'm looking forward to it. But I've heard bad things about the remake. I've been buying physical movies recently. A lot of physical movies have been going on great sales. One of my favorite distributors right now of movies, they have just been winning over my heart, has been Arrow Video. Arrow Video has been putting out a lot of great stuff, and I'm loving it. We talked about them a couple streams ago. I'm really, really loving them. Sony can crumble for all I care with their current practices. They are shooting themselves in the foot. And I think they are leaning into this is just going to blow over. I think Sony believes that this is going to come and go and they're going to win. I don't know about this one. This one seems like they're probably going to lose a lot of people this time around. PS1 and GameCube are your favorite boot up screens? Oh yeah, absolutely. The GameCube boot up screen. I'd say my top three would be the PS1, the Dreamcast, and the GameCube for the boot up screens. I like the original Xbox one, but I don't know. My top three: PS1, Dreamcast, GameCube. Those ones are great. Good to see you, dude. I loved Hero's Purpose. Oh, you watched it. That's so awesome. I'm glad you liked it. Hero's Purpose is a fan-made episodic series about Legend of Zelda. Basically, the story of what happens to Link after Majora's Mask. If any Legend of Zelda fans out there, if you love that franchise and want to see something kind of new and fresh, check out Hero's Purpose. It's on YouTube and it's fantastic. Make games better and prices cheaper to compete. Yeah, they don't. The pricing is a whole other thing too. Like, it's okay to have digital versions of games because yes, people want convenience, but price it accordingly. Make both. Have the digital copy of something be one price at a lower price because it's digital, and have the physical media copy be more expensive. Doesn't have to be wildly more expensive, but more expensive to cover the costs of manufacturing. That's all they got to do. And they're going to win because a lot of people are going to double dip. So that because a lot of people are crazy like me and they like to collect things. So, yeah, there's so many options that they could do right there. I got my original Xbox and PC copies of Halo next to me right now, deciding which version I want to stream. I think what I'm going to do for when I stream it, I have the Master Chief collection on Steam. I think I'm going to use that. And because I know that you can toggle the graphics and have the remaster, but also the original, which is what I want to play. I want to play it in its original form. So I think I'm going to use the Master Chief collection on Steam to do that. There's a creator who's making animated KOTOR 2, and they're currently on episode 9. I love the story from Knights of the Old Republic. I gotta check that. I remember you mentioning that last stream. I gotta look those up. That sounds awesome. But let me jump over to a point I was talking about before about competition. So we were talking about earlier, you guys were talking about collabs between these companies, but the big thing these companies need to lean into is competition. And that's what I feel like has been missing for a very, very long time. One of the things that made, in fact, I would say this is probably the strongest part of what made the console war of the 90s so powerful was the competition between Nintendo and Sega. And then eventually Sony and Xbox joined in. But specifically between Nintendo and Sega, that competition, it basically created the push that both companies needed to make great video games. And the competition went not just between the games themselves, but it was out there in the commercials. It was in the marketing. It was at the conventions. It was at the reveals. It was what they could have some fun with it. And yes, it is competition and these companies wanted to win, but in a way, some of it almost leans into that like friendly competition area. Maybe not completely, but the understanding is there that for one to succeed, they need the other. And when you have competition between companies where you can use that in things like marketing to build that brand loyalty with customers and bring that player base over to you for the new thing that you're coming out with, that competition fuels the whole industry. It makes people go out there and spend the money, and it makes for the players to make that choice. I remember back in the day, the 16-bit era, my parents were the fact that they were able to do this for me and my brother was amazing. We were very lucky to be able to do this. We got to be able to have a game console, pick a game console, and it came down to the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo. Now, growing up, and still even now to this day, my brother was never much of a gamer. Like, he played some games and enjoyed a bunch of them, but he was more very specific ones. I was more of the overall, like, kind of trying out everything that I could. So the decision really landed on me for the most part. But the choice was between a Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis, and I went with the Sega Genesis. So at that point in my life, I was the Sega kid. That's what we were labeled back then, guys. You were either a Sega kid or a Nintendo kid. That's pretty much how it went, for the longest time. But that competition is what drove the industry. Like, it just pushed things forward, and these developers used it as motivation to make the best product they could, create the best characters they could come up with, create the best level design they could make, come up with the best story in the game, come up with the most flashing lights, the shining, the big booms, the everything, the whole thing. The whole thing was fueled by that competition. And we loved it. We loved it. Now, don't get me wrong. There were like actual fights that happened between gamers. I mean, Nintendo versus Sega, that was a big deal. And when you're choosing sides out on the playground, there were stakes. This mattered, right? You were a Mario kid or you were a Sonic kid. There was like no middle ground. But that was the best part because it made it fun. And it created sometimes heated conversations, but it created conversation and people talking about and debating what was better, why they liked the one thing versus the other, who had more experience with what. And for the most part, a lot of kids only had experience with one side. And for me, my main experience in the 16-bit era was with the Sega Genesis. I still got to play Super Nintendo through family and friends that had it, but that would be only when we went there to visit, or maybe sometimes they brought the system over. And that was so much fun because then it made that like, it's like you had the thing, what's the phrase? The grass is always greener, right? On the other side. That's look, I had the Sega, but there would be plenty of times where I'm like, man, I wonder if I should have gone with a Super Nintendo. What would it be like right now if I had a Super Nintendo? Oh my goodness, what would it be like if I had both? All that stuff, right? As a kid, these are the thoughts we had. These are the conversations we had with our friends. And it was so much fun. It was fun. And yes, it was a competition, but it was fun. And that's what made it so special. And that's why I say, and this is kind of looping all the way back to the beginning here, guys. That's why I say that at this point where we are in the gaming industry right now, we're in a very weird space right now. There is that golden opportunity just sitting there on the table, and all we need is for someone in the industry to be brave enough to grab it. And I think Sega should be the one. Yo, Brian, with the timing. I love it. I think Sega should be the one to grab it. And for all I know, I have no insider information. I don't have anything like that. For all I know, Sega might have been cooking this whole time. And they may come out of nowhere with a brand new Sega console. And that would just, man, that would turn heads. It would be the most exciting reveal in gaming history. I'm not even exaggerating. Think about it. Think about the reveals we have had in gaming history, and there have been some amazing ones. A comeback from Sega into the console war would shatter it all. That's what I think. That's me. That's me, a 44-year-old Sega kid. That's my thought on that. That it would be the biggest event, the biggest reveal in gaming history to this date. And it's right there. That opportunity is there. And Sega, yeah, given the balls Sega had back in the day, we need a revival. Yes, and think about it. Everything about Sega back in the day, it was about that edge, that edginess to it. Everything was cooler. Everything was grungier. Everything was more badass. They were the system. They were like the cool kids got the Sega, and Sega does what Nintendo don't. All of this stuff. We need that back. We need the commercials on the air where they're taking shots at the other one. I mean, even it wasn't just gaming companies. Remember back in the day, like just soda companies and stuff like that, Coca-Cola versus Pepsi and things like that. There was the competition in the commercials, car companies. This is the stuff that helped sell their products. And they could do it in fun ways. It wasn't like cheap shots. I mean, sometimes there were, but it wasn't just that. It was like creative ways of taking a jab at their competition, and sometimes in ways without even having to flat out say it. But we, as the customers, we knew what they were talking about. McDonald's versus Burger King, all of this stuff, Pizza Hut versus Domino's, all of this competition has gone away. It doesn't really exist anymore. And I think that's why the whole act of buying things, of shopping for something, of collecting things, of going into a store and picking what you're going to have, which brand you're going to go with, there's a whole side of that that's missing now. There was a level of joy that used to come with that, almost pride. Think about it. Some people were like very brand loyal, and there was a sense of pride that came with that. But when's the last time we've had that? You know, it's gone away, like, a lot. And it's sad to see that it's happened. Everyone's too damn sensitive these days. Us old bastards, we love it though. That's the thing. All the everyone's too sensitive. You can't. Everything's too politically correct, and you can't say this and you can't say that. Say it. Do it. This is the things that like made life enjoyable and fun, and it just, oh man, it just, people need to be brave. Problem is, today's generation don't use their brains that way anymore. Well, you know what it is? Today's generation, they don't know how to think that way, because everything that's shoved in their face while they're on their phones, and every screen they see, and everything that's being thrown at them in today's version of media, it doesn't show them any of that. They're not aware of it. And unless our generation, show them these things, they're not going to know. You know, like my kids know some of this stuff that I grew up with because I show it to them, and they, you know, get an idea of what it was like. But that's it. They only get like a little bit of an idea. They don't really, they're never going to experience it. And that's the really sad part of the whole thing. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, dude. Good to see you, man. Welcome, welcome. That's the thing that makes me almost want to cry, is that form of competition, my kids don't know it. You know, they all their stuff is about these weird, very fast, disposable experiences. And I'll give you an example. So we were just this weekend and we were celebrating my daughter's birthday, and we're taking her out, you know, to, you know, go shopping and stuff, get some stuff for her birthday and everything. And the things that she chose, I can't wrap my brain around it. It's just like it I don't understand why it's the thing. Now, I know I grew up with all kinds of fads and stuff like that, you know, came and went, and I'm sure they were very silly, and parents were probably looking at the stuff we had and were like, what the heck is this crap? You know, I had Pogs. You guys remember Pogs? I had tons of those. Her big thing right now, and I'm sure this is a phase and it will fade eventually, but this is what she likes, and that's okay. It's like these squishy things. Everything is squishing. It's all squish. Everything's got to mush and make a sound. I gotta admit, it's pretty hilarious though when some of these things she squeezes it makes a fart sound, and then I giggle because I don't care. I'm a giant child. I'm definitely a boomer. I'm a giant child, and I don't care. I'll be on my deathbed. If somebody farts, I'm gonna laugh, and that'll be the last thing that happens in my life. But that's the thing she's into. And I'm like, man, it's so weird. And I try to like steer her to other things, but no, that was her big thing. So, hey, it is what it is. That's their generation. They have their stuff. But I want them to have, I love that victory sound. I want them to have like an experience with these things. Like, there was a whole fun aspect of brand loyalty. There was a fun aspect of saying, like, I like that brand. I like that thing. I like Pepsi or whatever. It's like, I like this, that. I was a Nintendo kid. I'm a Sega kid. There was the fun that goes with that. And we have a huge opportunity to bring that back. And it's up to these companies to do it. The console wars made console gaming great because there was competition. Sony won against Xbox and Nintendo is in their own world. Oh, Nintendo will always be in their own world. Well, they've been in their own world since Sega left. When they left hardware. That's what made Nintendo truly kind of branch off into their own thing and doing whatever they want, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. They did their thing. But during the console war, they kind of had no choice but to really step up and compete. They could still do their own thing with a bunch of stuff, but they had to make sure they were up to date with that competition. And that was the biggest thing, man. That was huge. It was so huge. I'm so glad my kids have been able to find sensible hobbies. My daughter's studying law. My 15-year-old son is obsessed with trains, and our youngest is now focused on Masters of the Universe. Let's go. I love, see, I'm still showing my kids all kinds of stuff I grew up with. In fact, I was so proud today. So proud of this. My daughter came in into the house and they were playing with their friends. My son and my daughter were playing with their friends, and they came in with their friends, and they came running to me and said, "Can you, Dad, can you show them what Thundercats are? Because they've been playing with the Sword of Omens." And that's what they wanted to show their friends. They didn't want to show their friends a squishy thing or some weird other whatever thing. They wanted to show their friends Thundercats. So I brought them down to the cave. We fired up YouTube real quick, and I fired up the intro song of Thundercats and the whole intro sequence of the cartoon and showed that to them. And that's what they wanted to do. And I was just so proud. I was like, this is what it's about. That's what I want. I want them to be excited about that stuff. Yeah, that was so awesome. That with the dumpling crack. Yeah, dumplings, that's what they're called, right? I think there's a couple different ones, but all these giant squish things, and they're everywhere. They're in every store. No matter what kind of store you're in, they are in there, because you know what? The people running these stores know they're going to sell, because that's what the kids are into right now. I bet that was probably the case when, like I just mentioned, I had Pogs. We could probably find Pogs everywhere, right? Or find them at the supermarket or something. It was crazy. I'm a Sony pony, but not liking what Sony is doing right now. Yep, Nintendo beat Sega back in the day. I wish another company would jump into the console world and give Sony some competition. It's a big thing it's very much needed. Now, speaking of Sony, let's talk a little bit more about Sony specifically, because they are on the hot plate right now because of their announcement. But the reality is, it's not just Sony. Okay, this is gaming industry altogether, movies, TV shows, everything with physical media. It's all of these companies. It's not just Sony, but they are on the hot plate right now because they made their announcement that as of January 2028, they will discontinue physical media production. And it's not just games, it's going to be movies and stuff too. Remember, Sony owns Blu-ray. Blu-ray was made by Sony. They won that platform war. Remember, it was the HD DVD versus Blu-ray. Well, Blu-ray won. So they're going to want to take that away. They're replacing their manufacturing factories and putting in all kinds of AI stuff and all the stuff for software, and it's a nightmare when it comes to all of that. But I wanted to point something out when it comes to the backlash with Sony. One, Sony, as of the time of this video, the recording of this video, guys, as of right now, Sony has yet to respond to the backlash. They've been silent. Well, I shouldn't say they've been silent. They've been posting all kinds of stuff. All kinds of distractions. That's what they've been doing lately. They have not responded to the backlash. They're going, well, look at this shiny thing over here. a new God of War. Ooh, we're going to do this. Oh my God, look at this thing over here. Look at the blinking lights. They're distracting. That's what they're doing right now. No response to the backlash. But fans have had a response to the backlash. And it came on a post, and I'm going to read some of the article that came with this. But there was a post by Does It Play on Twitter responding to an article that was put out there by, I think, what are they called? Push Square? Yo, Steve, let's go. Thank you so much, man. Oh, that's blocking the, that is blocking the alert. Was blocking that. Sorry about that. Steve, what's up, dude? 37 months. Let's go. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. There was this post on Twitter, and I'm gonna pull up the article and read a little bit of it here. This was by Push Square. But they were responding to this. So the post said, Sony wants to abandon fans. Let's give them a small taste of their own medicine. Together with other creators, we call for a 1-week PS blackout in August. No logins, no play sessions, no purchases on any of Sony platforms. So here's what the post said. Let me just bring this over to where I can read it. Okay, so I'm just going to shift this way a little bit to read this for you. So the post said, for several years now, Sony Interactive Entertainment has continued to grow further apart from its fan base. Whether it's closing beloved studios like Bluepoint, pursuing a misguided live service strategy, canceling fan events, leaving PSVR 2 to die, I'm pretty upset about that one actually, or being completely out of touch with the franchise's players want to see return, PlayStation has never felt more disconnected from its community. And them feeling that disconnect, that's the feeling that we have across the board, I think, with the entire fandom here. Ending physical discs in 2028 feels like the last straw. We understand there is only so much Sony Interactive Entertainment can control, but with the decisions that are within its control, the company continues to mismanage the strong position it inherited from the PS4 era. There are so many issues with PlayStation right now that bringing back physical games would only be meeting players halfway. There is still much more for SIE can do. We miss Twisted Metal, SOCOM, Sly Cooper, and Resistance. We miss PlayStation Experience. We miss Japan Studio. With that, we are calling on PlayStation players to participate in an economic and gameplay blackout from Sunday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. local time through Sunday, August 30th at 7 p.m. local time. Players can participate by turning off their consoles or logging out for 7 days. We feel that this period gives publishers and developers minimal impact while still giving players a voice. Now, with this bit of information that's out there, and this is it's an interesting situation here, and I have my opinion of this and what I think the impact will be. And again, like everything else, this is just my opinion. I could be wildly off base, I could be completely wrong, but this is a call to action from players in the PlayStation community, right? And one thing I find interesting is that the time frame, 1 week, 7 days. It's interesting. I saw somebody commented on this article. They were like, it seems weird that they announced the end date. Like, it's one thing to say when we're going to start. They're going to start on August 23rd. That's when the start of the blackout would be. And somebody was commenting about it's weird that they would say when they would end it. I think giving the end date is important because I think that would bring more people into it. I think if there was no end date, if they were just like blackout, from this date going forward with no like end date set, I don't think as many players would participate in this because eventually they're just going to ignore it and they're just going to jump on anyway. But to say like, hey, here's what we're asking. just don't touch the system, don't log into the PlayStation Network for a week, I think a lot more people would be willing to do that. Um, Me personally, I don't know where I'm going to land on it. It depends on really what we're going to be streaming at that point here on the channel. Maybe I'll purposely avoid Sony at that point, and then I have no reason to fire up the PlayStation. But my kids still play the PlayStation. They play things like Fortnite and Call of Duty and all that stuff on there. So, and I'm not going to take it away from them. If that's what they're gonna play, then that's what they're gonna play. But me personally, I don't have to log in with mine. I find myself playing other stuff more often anyway. I'm probably sitting on the Nintendo or a Sega Genesis or the GameCube or a Super Nintendo or something. Like, it's just I'm more on other things anyway. So me not logging into the PS5 is not that big of a jump for me. I could just do that. So this is the call to action that's coming from the fan base on Sony's side, and the question is really, what impact is this truly going to have? It's interesting they say that during this period would give publishers and developers minimal impact while still giving players a voice. Like, basically, what I feel they're saying is that they're not trying to hurt the actual, like, developers, right? The people that make the games, the people that are putting their heart and soul into these things, and the people that have the passion for it, because it's not them that's causing these issues in the gaming industry. It's the distributors, and it really sucks when they hurt so many that they without them they have nothing, these companies, right? So you hurt the developers. What are they going to do? If Sony loses their developers, well, guess what? You can't make games no more. It's like, it's such a crazy thing that goes on with this. So I thought this was really interesting that a call to action actually happened. And that's a month away. That's less than a month away, this call to action. And some people may have already started doing this. There's a lot of people who say they've jumped ship already and they've been done. Some people claim they have sold their PlayStation 5 and the PS4 and stuff and just like got rid of it. Some people have done, same things were said with the Xbox systems and stuff. So it's hard to say right now what impact this will actually have. And the question is, how do we even know what the impact will be unless Sony reveals what the impact was? So after that 7 days, let's say tons of people participate in this. Let's say the majority of the PlayStation Network community participate in this, and they go dark for 7 days. Would Sony even address it? And by that, I mean, if they address it, does that mean they're giving in? Like, would it be smarter of Sony to ignore it? Like, talking about it like at the business side of it, the greed side, right? The whole corporation side of it. Do they even acknowledge it? So far, they have not. At least at as of this moment. But what do you guys think? Sony obviously should address it. I think that's a given. The question is, will Sony even give this a thought? Will they even give this any ground to stand on? And I kind of feel like they won't. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear nothing from them about this. Because so far, since their announcement for 2028, they've said nothing. And there has been tons of backlash. But they're not doing anything. Now, maybe they're sitting on something. Maybe their PR team is sitting on something that's going to be some sort of an official announcement, but they're not quite ready for it. Maybe whatever that announcement is, if it exists, maybe that happens right before this. They have a date. They know when it's supposed to start. So what if on the 22nd, Sony makes an announcement? And what if they say something that's enough to change some people's minds? And then a bunch of people who were getting ready to participate in this blackout change their minds. And now they don't. Maybe there's something that motivates them to log in. Maybe there's something there on the PlayStation Network that, hey, log in and get this free thing, or a huge discount on something, or whatever it may be. It will probably be some sort of monetary value, right? Free. They're going to have the word free in there. That's a big thing. Come on now. We all know. We're all consumers. We know when we see that word free, it gets our attention. So what if, come August 22nd, Sony makes an announcement, and maybe they're silent all the way until then? Now, this backlash is going to continue. It's going to keep growing as this goes. There's no end in sight for it. And understandably so, because Sony managed to piss off a large portion of the entire gaming community. Because it's not, these days, again, kind of going back to like there's no more competition, right? These days, lots of people that have a PlayStation also have an Xbox, or also have a PC, and then also have a Nintendo and all kinds of stuff. It's not like it was back in the day. And then access to all these game titles with very few true exclusives even existing anymore these days. It almost doesn't matter which system you have. People are playing the same games anyway. And then there's the cross platforms and everything for online. So it's definitely not like it used to be. But I thought this was really interesting that there is a call to action in place. And I didn't know how much of our community here at the Matcave Gaming channel were aware of it. And I wanted to bring it up because this is big news. This is a big deal. The fact that the gaming community is willing to do something and take a stand, whether it works or not, is still, I think, a very important thing and very noteworthy in the history of gaming. But my biggest worry is that the impact might end up being very minimal. Like, this may come and go and be nothing. And I am worried about that, because if it is nothing, or not enough people participate, that tells the company, that tells Sony, they can do whatever the hell they want and get away with it. And that's not the message that we as players want to send to them. There has to be an impact. There has to be something that changes. Otherwise, these companies will they're going to continue to do whatever they want that's going to make them the quick money, and it's not going to be good for us. I can tell you that for a fact. It won't be good for us. One of the things I've already done, and I did this long before Sony made that announcement, and I if I hadn't yet, I would have done it at the time of this announcement. But I downgraded my PlayStation Network, the PS Plus. I had the top tier of it, but I wasn't really happy with it. They didn't seem to be doing much with it. My whole reason I got it was for the retro games that were coming in, the PS1 classics, the PS2 classics. And they were like putting out hardly anything. And it's been a long time. I did a video back when it got announced, the revamp of PS Plus. And I was excited about it. But they've done practically nothing with it. So I have the lowest level at this point, because all I want it for is the online play and backing up my save files. Speaking of that, here's a little side note. Just a bit of a side note on this. Save files. The big thing about it is backing them up on the cloud, right? You know what I feel like we need, but it will never happen again, because this is one of the ways these gaming companies took control of it. We need memory cards back. Remember memory cards? I still have a ton of memory cards from my PS1 and PS2. That all went away with the PS3. You know what that was? That was Sony taking full control of your save files. Because if something happens to your console and you have to factory reset it or something like that, or the drive gets wiped or corrupted, there goes your save files, unless you back them up on their cloud service. And so then you could download your save files back if they were lost on the console. The memory cards are gone. So that's this, and this has been a long time, guys. This is back to the PS3 and Xbox 360. We lost control of our save files a long time ago, and that ain't ever coming back. But if we can at least save physical media, that would be a good thing. But again, I wanted to bring up this post here because I thought that was a really important thing that happened here, and it's going to impact a lot of gamers. It's going to impact a lot of us, not just PlayStation players, but players across the board in the gaming industry. It's something that we need to be aware of, and to make sure that we're showing these companies that we care about these products, these games, the world of gaming. We care. That's the thing. Like, it's not that we want to take control from these companies. We want them to understand what a vital part of this whole thing we are. That we care about this for a reason. We care about this because we love it. We have a passion for it. We grew up with it. Some of us have been around since the beginning of games and have been through every evolution of all this. And it's about letting these companies know that we care about this, and that's why we fight back. That's why we are fighting back. That's why there is so much backlash. And when these companies make announcements like this, why it hits us so hard. So that's pretty much what's going on in the world of Sony right now. But it's not just them, it's Xbox as well. It is Nintendo. Not as extreme right now as it is with Xbox and PlayStation, but they're teetering right now. But I wanted to cover that tonight with you guys and talk a little bit about it and see your thoughts on all of this, because it's a wild situation, and I don't want to stay silent about it. I am a lifelong gamer and always will be, but the way I participate in the world of gaming, that's what seems like I'm going to be forced into changing. And I don't want to. That's the other thing, too, for these companies to know, is that they are forcing us to change, and we don't want that change. And it's going to make the hobby, the whole thing about it ruins it. It really does ruin it. Let me scroll back up here a little bit and catch up with you guys here. I'm sorry, I've been like ranting and just going here tonight, but I want to make sure I got all these thoughts out while we're here. Nick, you got the VR2 as well? Yeah, I have it, and my kids still play it. They really enjoy the VR. I hate that we have to go back and forth between the VR1 and the VR2, but they do enjoy it. But there's not a whole lot going on with it, which sucks because that thing was really, really expensive. It's all about active users these days. Well, that's the thing, where if this coordinated blackout happens, the active users, that number will dramatically reduce. At least that's the intent behind that call to action. So we'll see what happens with it. I hope they're not delaying the PS6 to 2028 to see if they can get away with all digital. Have they talked about a potential release date for the PS6? I haven't seen anything like officially. And in all honesty, it took so long for the PS5 to just get off the ground and start running. Like, I feel like we're still in the beginning of the PS5 generation, which is crazy because it's been out for years now, but it's only started gaining legs, like, what, in the last year or two? Like, it's pretty crazy. There was a wildly delayed start to this current generation. The month of our birthday. Yep. Hey, man, that's I'm with you, man. I'm an August baby. It's going to be a interesting birthday month. Most of those posts are just engagement farming, though. A lot of the posts that happen with these things, it is a lot of engagement farming and everything. This one, the one mentioning from Push Square, I thought this seemed to be one of the more like legit things that was posting out there. That's a big reason why I wanted to bring it up, because it seemed like it actually had like reality behind it, you know. If they have a massive slump in active users, they have to acknowledge it. Um I would hope so, but I'm telling you, like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if they just ignored it. It seems like these companies are ballsy enough these days to just ignore it, and I wouldn't be surprised. Publicly traded company, right? They'll have to address it at some point. They are publicly traded, right? I don't I'm not a like, I don't do stocks and all kinds of stuff. I know very little about all of that. So I would imagine they're a publicly traded company, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. All I know is that the only way to really make these companies wake up and like acknowledge anything is that when you got to hurt them in the wallet, you got to address it with money. They'll have to answer to the shareholders, definitely. Next quarterly earnings is August 7th. This blackout should honestly be the next week for maximum exposure. Interesting. Huh. So then because I would imagine the people coordinating this blackout would know when the quarterly earnings stuff happens. I wonder why the time frame that was chosen was chosen. There's that word again, consumers. I mean, we are. we are. This is the reality of it. Yeah, come get this for free just for us to take it away. That's the other thing too. They'll lure people in with some sort of free thing, and you know it's going to be digital. Of course it's going to be digital. They have full control over it. They can give away everything for free. They can just take it back whenever they want. Oh, you still want to access that thing we gave you? Well, you know what? Give us $20, and then we'll put the license back on your profile. You know, it's free for, you had it a month or two, right? Or maybe let's give them, you had it 6 months. You had that for free for 6 months. But you know what? We're going to take that license back. We're just going to take that back, right? Oh, but if you want this back, it's going to be $29.99, and then we can give that license back to your profile, and you can access it again. But we might take it away again, so just keep an eye on it. Oh God, the digital everything. It's such a mess. Got a drawer of memory cards. I love it. I picked this up not that long ago. I picked up a memory card for the PS1 that has the toggle switch on the back. So it's basically like 4 memory cards in one. So you can just kind of toggle, and then you can like label what's on what. It's a good stuff. Clip that rant out. Which one? Hey, you guys let me know. I'll make a short video out of it. Yo, Spidey, what's up, dude? We hating on Sony? We are right now. It's you know what we're doing? It is some hating on it, but it's also an attempt at trying to understand the mindset and why we're here and why we've gone to the place that we've gone. It's tricky. It's tricky. No, not us. Sony needs a reckoning. Yeah. Not just Sony, guys. I can't stress that enough. It's not just Sony. They just put themselves on the hot plate because they made that announcement. So they're nuts. Nothing that's not warranted. Yeah, exactly. It's been wild these past few weeks with that really, it's that announcement, that 2028 announcement that kicked this all off. And Xbox has been pretty silent as well. I think they're just kind of waiting, and I don't blame them. I think all these other companies are just kind of waiting to see what Sony does next, because Sony basically took the heat. They did the thing that everyone else was already thinking about doing, but Sony went and just announced it and made it official. So now all the heat, all the laser sights are on them. And the rest of these companies, Microsoft and Nintendo, and hey, Sega, they're all just sitting back and waiting to see how this plays out to make their next move. But that brings me all the way back around to what we were talking about in the beginning, my crazy talk of saying there's that golden opportunity on the table. And if Sega was to grab that opportunity and jump back into the console war, I'm telling you guys, it would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. But I wanted to kind of rant about this a little bit and share my thoughts and feelings on the situation, and get your guys' thoughts and everything and feelings on this situation as well, because this is a rough time right now in the world of gaming. Like I said, I am a lifelong gamer and always will be, but I got to tell you, this is a rough time right now. Feelings are getting hurt. Stress is being added. There's a lot of anger out there about this, and rightfully so. There is a lot of anger behind this. And these companies are going to continue to get away with all this stuff because they can, because people continue to pay them to do it. And they're willing to do it. And a lot of people, look, that we have to understand this. The reality is, a large portion of the world is perfectly fine with an all digital future because they just don't care. And I get it. I get it, because it's not a thing that's always on their radar. It's not a thing that they're thinking about. But for the other portion of the world that we do care about this, it impacts us greatly. And I think the side of the world that's doesn't care now will eventually care a lot more, but by then it'll be too late. And then things will have already shifted. And then at that point, any chance of going back to physical media, all but lost. Like, it just, I don't think, if we get to the point where the side of the population that doesn't care about digital or physical eventually starts to care, I think by then it's too late. That's just, again, my opinion on it. I think it could go too far. I don't think they're going to do this, but what would you think about games costing $10 more for physical? Yes, exactly. That's what, yeah. Have both. I think that's the ultimate win. Have digital and physical. Sell both, but make the physical a little bit more expensive, so that way you're covering your manufacturing costs. Because physical objects literally cost more to make than digital pixels. Like, it's digital, it should be cheaper. The fact that you have to spend $70 or more on a digital game, a digital only game, nothing physical behind it, is absurd, and it's ridiculous. But the reason people do it is because that's the only option in many cases. And if they want to play that game, that's the only way to do it. And that's what these companies know. If they have full control like that, people are going to keep spending their money. The trick is getting people to stop spending that money. And that's the only way these companies are going to make a change. But yes, that's all they got to do. Have both. Digital is the lower price, understandably. Physical is the higher price, understandably. And the best part about that is that they're going to make the money twice, because a lot of people who will get the physical may also get the digital as well. So they're going to double dip, and they're going to get more money, and it would be a huge win. But that's the long-term success. These companies only look at the short term. It's really, really sad. But oh yeah, it's wild, guys. But thank you for hearing me out on this and being here for this long-winded rant. If you guys are catching this on the replay, please let me know all of your thoughts about all the backlash against Sony with an all-digital future. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about the state of the world of gaming as it stands right now? Where do you think it's heading? What do you think would be the solution? And what do you prefer? Do you prefer digital, or do you prefer physical? Or would you like the world to have both? Let me know down in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. Let's keep the conversation going down in the comments. But guys, this is not the end. This is not the end of the stream. I have one more thing I want to do with you guys here tonight. And it's in the world of physical media. It is the world of physical media, though not a video game. It's not a video game, but I want to show you guys something, and I want to show you why I love physical media so much. And this is the latest addition to the collection, and I got this, I pre-ordered this well over a year ago, and it actually arrived early. It's supposed to release tomorrow as of the time of this video, but it arrived yesterday. And I was like so thrilled, and just I have to admit, my wife and I, we've already opened it, and we've already started watching. So, but I want to show you what we got here, and I'll show you the contents and everything here because it is awesome, and it kind of fits the mood, or it kind of fits the theme around this channel. It is retro, sort of. You know, it's a newer thing, but it's retro based. And what that is the deluxe 4K edition box set of Stranger Things. A Netflix show released on physical media in its entirety on 4K Blu-ray in an awesome box set. And my wife and I are already 3 episodes in, and I want to give you guys a little tour of this box set. I ended up picking this up. I pre-ordered it over a year ago at this point, from Orbit DVD. I didn't even know this place existed, this site, and somebody had told me about it at one point. So I checked, I looked into it because they said they were selling things for much more reasonable prices than the other distributors, and they were. So I grabbed it from there, and it arrived. Been waiting on this for over a year, and I'm so psyched to have it. But guys, this is heavy. So this is the entire series. So let's take a look at this together, guys. And I want to show you what's in here. I will say a bit of a spoiler alert. Okay, this is an unboxing right here, but I'm gonna tell you there is a spoiler in here. So, and it's on the cover art of the later seasons. So I will say that if you are not caught up on Stranger Things and you are looking to watch it and you don't want anything spoiled, when I get to the point of season 4 and season 5, when we look at the cover art, even season 3, actually, I should say. So season 3 to 5, spoiler warning, because the cover art does reveal some things. I'm not going to say what they are. We'll see them when we get there, but I just wanted to give a fair spoiler warning before we dive into it because it's there. So anyways, let's dive into this. Let me show you. First, let's go with, we've got the top end here. We got Netflix Stranger Things. Man, this is heavy. And then the cover art here with the whole group there. Look how young they were. It's insane. We turn the box and we've got the mall from season 3. And then the, what was it called? The Mind Flayer. I think that was the Mind Flayer. And then we've got the radio station, and we got some Demogorgons and everything out there from the later seasons. And then over here, we've got Vecna and all kinds of craziness going on there. So let's jump into this. I want to show you how this cover comes off. I really like this. The box comes off like this. And it's like a half open, like makes it almost like a shelf. So let's take this aside here, and I want to point out something that's a little bit of a pet peeve here. I'm not sure why this happened and why the case is different, but why is season 4 different? I'm not entirely sure. And why the Arrow Video logo is so much lower and it doesn't line up. It was when I first opened this, when my wife, well, I should say when my wife first opened it, because she did the unboxing. When she first took the lid off, and that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, what? Why is that lower? Why do that? So it's kind of weird, but I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, my OCD can't handle it. I don't know. It's even it has a slip cover and a different slip cover and everything. I'm not sure why it's different, but we're going to open up all of these, but there is a ton of stuff in here. A whole bunch of content for all 5 seasons. So let me show you a bunch of stuff that's in here. So we'll start with the seasons themselves, and then I'll show you the extra contents that come in there. So here's season 1 with that iconic shot in the living room where Joyce had set up all the lights to try to talk to Will. And look, it's one of those 3D things. You see the lights changing. R, U, can I get the N? N. R, U, N. The alert telling her to run. Amazing moment in season 1. And then it's, that like 3D slipcover. And then on the back, it lists the episodes, the chapters for that season. And then when we come into the disc itself, we have the same cover art in here, but in classic Arrow Video fashion, the cover art is reversible. So check this out, guys. And I'll show you the discs in just a second. But the insert is reversible. And you can get the posters of each season instead. I like the newer cover art and everything. I may reverse it potentially, but you get the posters and some more info about the discs and everything on that side. So it is reversible, and we've looked at multiple Arrow Video sets here on the channel, and they've all been reversible, and I love that. So it gives you a choice. It's your preference of how you want it displayed when you take the cases out on there. So I love that they do that for these. We looked at Mortal Kombat, we looked at the Ninja Turtles from Arrow Video, and it's really cool that they did that. But then we've got each 4K disc with a handful of episodes on each. This is one of those shows that, an episode is an hour or more in some cases. So there's only a couple of, 2 to 3 episodes per disc, but they are in phenomenal quality. My wife and I watched disc 1 already, chapters 1, 2, and 3 from season 1, and I gotta point out something that's amazing. One, the video quality and everything on it, the picture quality is phenomenal. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but I want to point out that the soundtracks, not only does it have the surround sound track, the 5.1 track, it also has the stereo audio track on there. So if you're just watching it on the TV using the TV speakers and not a surround sound system, everything is going to be nice and clear. All the voice clarity and everything is there on the stereo track. I was very impressed with that, the fact that they included that, and I'm very happy about that. So well done to Netflix and Arrow Video for doing that, giving you the surround sound option and the stereo option. So that's fantastic. Then we move on to season 2, and this is where the cover arts start to get really, really cool and a little bit interactive. So we got Hopper up there with the shovel digging down heading into areas which towards the upside down, and then you can slide that up and you get the reveal of what's under there. So that's pretty cool with season 2. And then it's the same idea with the 5.1, I run 7.1. Yeah, it will have, I don't think it had 7.1. I think it was the DTS 5.1 track on there. It'll still fine, still sound awesome on your 7.1 setup. That's what I have down in my theater and everything. It's 7.1, but same idea with the discs, with a handful of episodes per disc. And then again, the insert is reversible, and you get the poster as the cover art for season 2 there. On there. So same idea with that one. And then as we go later into these seasons, the cover art gets a little more interactive. And again, like I said just before, a bit of a spoiler alert for what I'm about to show you. So going into season 3 of Stranger Things, the cover art is a bit of a spoiler. So here is your spoiler warning, as I'm going to take season 3 out of the case here. And here we go. We get an amazing moment in the shopping mall of season 3 with one moment right there, and take the slipcover off. And a very crucial moment that happens in season 3 right there on the cover art. Again, just like the prior ones, we have reversible cover art, and you get the really cool neon style, a very 80s style shopping mall style artwork for season 3. The poster there, really, really well done, really nice cover art. And I keep I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm like, which way do I want to keep these in the set? I don't know. Maybe I'll just reverse them every once in a while and kind of change it out depending on the mood I'm in. So there's seasons 1, 2, and 3. Here's the season 4 case, which gets a little bit thicker and a little bit different. But this, again, very, very big spoiler here in season 4 of Stranger Things. But the interactive part of this slipcover is so cool. And maybe that's why they had to make it a little bit different. Here is season 4 of Stranger Things, and then of course if I lift the slipcover, that character rises, and if you've seen it, you know exactly what's happening here. And I thought that was really, really clever by Arrow Video on this set. And then we have the thicker case because there are more discs inside of here, and then we have our reversible cover art with Vecna looking over the crew there. You see the grandfather clock and everything there. So very cool that they give you the options like that. Let me pop that one back into there and get that back into place. Whoop. Make sure I put that on the right way. The inner poster art wouldn't really work with the slip covers. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I think I'm going to keep them as is, because these slip covers have a bit of an interactive feature to them, and I really like it. I've seen all the posters and everything for each season, so I'm fine with keeping it with the new stuff. And then here we go, season 5, the final season of Stranger Things. This is, again, spoiler warning of what we're about to see in the cover art, especially when I take the slip cover off. But here is a big moment. Season 5, we got Vecna standing there, and then we have... oh, man. What a moment that was in that final season. Absolutely insane. It's very cool the way we get from this moment to the next under the slipcover. And then I remember... I didn't look at this one actually on the artwork yet, so I want to see which poster they went with. Season 5 had multiple posters, and they were really cool artwork on all of them. So this is my first time seeing which poster they went with for this one. Season 5. Oh, there it is. Okay, that is the main season 5 poster that was all over the place with Vecna behind the whole crew there. Very, very cool. I think I am going to pretty much keep these as is with the newer artwork, the interactive artwork, if you will, because that's just very cool and a very cool creative choice by Arrow Video for this collection. So, and then we have some additional items that I'll show you guys here, because we have some more stuff in this box, a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm just going to pop these cases back in here first before I pull the rest of that stuff out. Try to keep this all nice. And I like to, I like to keep my collections nice. I like to keep them intact, and just so that they're nice to look at. Because that's the thing, with this stuff, it's not about just having it just sit there on the shelf. I like taking this stuff out and taking a look at it and seeing, reading through the stuff. Speaking of reading things, this did come with a really nice, thick behind the scenes book. They call it the player's manual for Stranger Things, and it's all kinds of behind the scenes artwork and everything, screenshots from the sets, articles and everything, talking with the filmmakers, the Duffer Brothers, the cast and everything, set designs. I love behind the scenes books like this. I remember it's actually it's part of the case. You can't take it out, but the Blu-ray release of Ghostbusters 1 and 2 had a behind-the-scenes book similar to this, and it was in the case, and I love reading through that every once in a while. It's very, very cool to go through that. And then here we have, along with this, let me just read the chat here. They made the season 4 disc just to mess with you. Yeah, it's the way it just lines up. I'm like, oh man, come on now. uh, they Live Vinyl has the interactive. Oh, my theory is that wait, what? They Live Vinyl has the interactive slip. Main art is in the sunglasses with the title. But as you remove the slip, it just becomes an advertisement. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm misreading it. The They Live Vinyl has the interactive slip. They Live, the movie. I'm sorry, I'm like completely butchering that. My brain wasn't reading that. That's cool. I like that. That's awesome. I love the old like Laserdisc cases and everything too. This came with, let's see, it was 5 posters featuring, the cast and stuff like that. I'll show you an example of one of them. I think this is season 1 here. 5 really nice, and it's like that thick paper posters. Really, really cool. And they are double-sided. So let's get this open. So we got the one side with the living room with the lights and the letters, and then you get the season poster on the other side. Very, very cool. I want to eventually get some nice frames for these. Maybe not all of them, but for some of them, I would like to frame these. But we have 5 of these posters here. And then this is probably my favorite one. This is actually a map of Hawkins, the area in the show, and showing where like things were popping up and where the strange things were happening throughout Hawkins. And then on the other side, it's basically the same area, but it's the upside down. I thought this was really, really cool. I really, really like this one. I think this is my favorite in the group of those posters. So very cool addition within this set. And then finally, we have this extra box here. And in here, I think is some really cool stuff. And I'm not sure like how many people would really be into this, but I really like this because it just makes the whole thing kind of seem like kind of feel a little more personalized. It did come with a coin, which is awesome. It's a coin from the arcade that they go to in the show, where the kids all go to. So that's awesome. We've got an arcade coin, a token, which is great. And then a ton of these. This is just, let me grab all of this out of here. Oh, weird. I just dropped that on the floor. Hold on one second. I forgot this was in there. I'll show you that in a second. That'll be the last thing I'll show you because I think it's the coolest one. Let me pop that out of there. So in the box, they give you these like postcards, like postcard style, like screenshots and stuff, all taken like shots like behind the scenes. Like this is like an off camera shot there with the kids in season 1. Here's another shot from there. This is actually a shot from the show, I believe, a snapshot. But these really cool postcard style size images, just stills from throughout. What an amazing moment in season 1 when those light up. There's a moment right before we reveal 11 when the kids find her in the woods. Kind of like the lobby cards. Yeah. It's just really cool that they give you, stuff like this, and it spans throughout all the seasons. This is in season 3, but really, really cool that they give you things like this. And then it starts to go into, let me put these ones back. And then it goes into more of like stuff that was like kind of references from in there. So then we got greetings from Camp Nowhere 85. Here's one of them, and it actually is like postcard style. So that was pretty cool. We get one of Jonathan's photos, the last image of Barb before the Demogorgon gets to her, and the shot from his camera. That's pretty wild. They put in there. We get some stickers from the radio station, And from Surfer Boy Pizza from the later season, so we get some stickers there. We got some more stickers referencing a bunch of stuff and some lines said in the in the show. And then we have, this one is crazy, a screenshot of the missing poster. Have you seen me? This is what his brother, Will's brother Jonathan, put together when Will goes missing in season 1. We got a Scoops Ahoy card, a membership card. This is pretty awesome. And it's got the spots to get the clips there and everything. I love that. We've got a patch for the Hellfire Club. Gotta love that. And then this was like kind of like a little features and traits card, Dungeons and Dragons style. Because they love, a lot of this is based around Dungeons and Dragons, all the stuff they reference throughout the show. And then finally, my favorite item in this whole thing, man, this is just wild. I hope this shows up on camera, but we do have, is this 18-sided? An 18-sided Dungeons and Dragons style dice. But, oh, is that showing up on camera? As the light hits it, it has like a inner bluish core. That kind of, yeah, you can kind of see it. See it like kind of glowing under the numbers there? It's so cool. It reminds me of like the inside of a Magic 8-ball. Very, very cool. This is a D20. Oh, is this 20-sided? I saw 18 on there. Oh, 19, 20. Yeah, this is a 20-sided, a D20. Yep. But just that inner core of this is just so cool. You could kind of see it there. I wish it would focus on it more. It's just very cool. This is my favorite item in the box set. I really, really love this. Between this and the token for the arcade is just very, very cool. But I think they did a really good job with this box set. I think Arrow Video has done it again. They have been putting out just phenomenal collector's items with these box sets that they've been putting out. And I appreciate it so much. And it's these are the types of things that it just, you don't get this type of an experience with digital. This is the only way you're going to experience stuff like this is with physical objects, physical media. To have a box full of all kinds of goodies, a book full of all kinds of behind the scenes information, posters that you could choose to hang up and frame and put them in your man cave or whatever, wherever you want to put them. These are the things that get lost in an all digital future. And there's no way to do this digitally. And look, these companies have tried to like trick us with digital versions of things like this. Think about how many games you've gotten on later consoles, on like the PlayStation 4, PS5, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S, where you get the game and it comes with like a digital art book. I mean, realistically, how many times have you even looked at the digital art book? Like maybe we've taken a peek at it once. In most cases, especially for me, I've never looked at it at all. Because what the heck's the point? What am I going to do with a digital art book? When I can have actual art that comes with something that I can physically hold and have and add to my collection and have in such a cool way, even though the thing doesn't line up. But it's things like this that get lost in an all digital world, and we'll never get that back if we let it happen. But there you have it, guys. I wanted to share this with you guys. because I thought it was so cool. I know it's not video game related, but the show takes place in 1985, and in the early 80s and everything too. So that's retro as far as I'm concerned, and it's such a cool box set. And this is wow, this is officially being released as of the recording of this video. It's the 27th. This comes out on the 28th, but it arrived early. I pre-ordered this over a year ago and was so excited for this to finally arrive. Stranger Things is one of my wife's favorite shows, one of her all-time favorite shows of all time. Like, just to give you an idea, like what like things like Star Wars and Resident Evil are to me, that's what this show is to her. So I wanted to make sure that we had this in our collection, so that she could have something physical like this to enjoy, and we could both, appreciate it together. So I wanted to show this to you guys because I just thought it was so cool that we actually get something from Netflix on physical media. And it's things like this is what collectors want. This is what we want as people who like physical media. We want to have something that you can actually touch, hold. I mean, this is so heavy, but to interact with and go through and look at the artwork and just have fun going through it. That's what I enjoy about it. It's not just about putting it on a shelf. It's about interacting with it and having fun and enjoying the experience, because that's what it comes down to, the experience. And digital will never bring the same experience ever. Oh, yeah. There we go. Let me catch up with you guys here before we wrap up tonight. Speaking of how do we not have a major AAA Stranger Things video game yet? Right? There's been like little games, like mobile games and stuff like that, but we even looked at one a little while back. But yeah, how this has not been turned into a full-blown AAA game, I don't know. At this point, now that it's completed, maybe they will give us something, but that would be pretty cool. I like how they're trying to hint at NES games with the design of the box. Yeah, it's such a cool design. I really like what they did with it, and I'm very happy with the physical media that Arrow Video has been putting out lately. Before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up here on the channel. Our next retro adventure, which falls under the 3 R's around here: retro, remasters, and remakes. Thursday nights, we will be diving into Star Fox Remake on the Switch 2. That is going to be our Thursday night streams. And for our alternate stream, because we've gotten into having 2 adventures running simultaneously, we do have a poll still running right now on the channel for our next modern adventure that we're going to go through, modern game adventure. And as of now, as I last looked, it looks like, hey, Fox, what's up? Love it. As it stands right now, on the 4 choices on the list right now, Batman Arkham Asylum is in the lead. I didn't bring that over here right now, but that is in the lead. The other choices on there are God of War 2018, Spider-Man, we have Batman Arkham Asylum, and The Last of Us Remake. Those are the 4 choices on the poll, which is still active in the community posts. So if you've not cast your vote yet, be sure to get over there and cast your vote in the poll, and then we will decide what our next modern adventure is. So that's what we have coming up, kind of pre-scheduled, if you will, but we do have more in the very near future coming here on the channel. We're going to start to expand things. I got more things I need to record, and I want to get a lot of new stuff out here for you guys to really push this channel forward and to get a lot more content out there for all of you here in the Matcave gaming community. Guys, I can't do this without you. I appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, everybody, remember, keep retro gaming alive, because one day your games will be retro too. Everybody, I hope you have a great night. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.
Oh, welcome to the Matcave, where the old